Police officers, what's the most disturbing thing you've seen on duty? It started with a welfare check. Dispatch sent me to apartment 3B because a neighbor said she hadn't seen the old lady in over a week. No mail picked up, lights off, and she always fed the stray cats. The neighbor seemed worried, so I figured I'd check it out. I knocked. Nothing knocked again. Still nothing. I went downstairs and got the landlord, guy named Vincent. He grabbed the spare key and we headed back up. When he tried the key, it wouldn't turn all the way. The chain was locked from inside. That's when my stomach dropped a little. I called for backup and we got permission to force entry. The smell hit us before we even got the door fully open. Not just death, something else. Something sharp and metallic. The apartment was freezing cold even though it was January. I shined my light around and saw 3 space heaters plugged into the wall, but none of them were on. The windows were completely blocked with furniture. Chairs stacked on top of dressers. Suitcases duct taped over the glass. It looked like she was trying to keep something out. We moved through the living room slow. There were notes everywhere, taped to the walls, stuck on the fridge, written on napkins, all in shaky handwriting. One said, "Don't trust the mirror. It listens." Another said, "He's in the vents again. I can smell the oranges." My partner Rick found one near the hallway that said, "Don't fall asleep. That's when he comes." I've seen paranoia before. Mental health calls are common, but this felt different. The apartment was organized. Clean dishes in the sink, folded laundry on the couch. It wasn't chaos. It was methodical fear. We found her in the bathroom, fully dressed in a sweater and jeans, lying in the bathtub, duct tape over her mouth, hands tied with a belt, eyes open. But there was no blood, no signs of a struggle, no weapon. The medical examiner later said she starved herself, hadn't eaten in weeks. Next to the tub was a journal. I flipped through it. She had been writing every single day for 3 months, documenting sounds times, descriptions. She wrote about scratching in the walls, whispers coming through the vents, the smell of oranges that showed up at night. She wrote that someone was living in the ductwork and watching her. Rick wanted to close it up and call it mental illness, but something wasn't sitting right with me. I asked Vincent if anyone else had complained about noises. He got quiet, said, "Yeah, actually. 4 tenants over the past 2 years had moved out early because of scratching sounds and weird smells. Nobody stayed long in that unit." Then he mentioned something else. A maintenance guy named Ricky went missing about 14 months ago. He'd been working in the boiler room and never clocked out. They assumed he quit without notice, never filed a report. I decided to check the vents, just to be sure. We pulled the grate off the bedroom vent and I shined my light inside. There were scratch marks, deep ones, fresh. And I'm not talking about rust or wear. I'm talking about gouges in the metal like someone dragged their nails across it over and over. At the back of the vent, I found a clump of human hair, dark brown, greasy, and stuck to the top panel was a piece of chewed gum. I called it in. They sent a team to check the entire duct system. They found more hair, a dirty sock, a plastic spoon, and in the basement near the boiler room, they found a sleeping bag stuffed behind the furnace with old food wrappers and empty water bottles. Somebody had been living in that building, in the walls, in the ducts, and nobody knew. We never found anyone. No prints, no DNA match. The case went cold. The apartment was sealed and eventually renovated. Vincent sold the building 6 months later.